One of the challenges of estate planning is, and I do it as a real estate agent with the real estate, but one of the challenges is what to do with a non-real estate, or as we call it, the stuff, the personal property, which can have physical value to it as well as emotional value. And you want to preserve what matters. You don't want to preserve what doesn't matter. It's funny. As I was getting ready for this call with Heather, I was finishing up a call with my uncle, who sent me a bunch of family photos, just really neat stuff that you just can't get. I mean, there's no price to that. Just kind of neat to see. So Heather, you deal with this all the time. What do people need to do to preserve what matters and then get through that part that doesn't matter?
Yeah, no, thanks, Bill. It's a great question. And thank you for having me back on the podcast. When we talk about preserving what matters, right? Every person, that means something different to everyone, but everyone probably has something that truly matters, some token, be it a photo or be it a birthday card or a travel souvenir or even a piece of jewelry or a family heirloom. And for us, it's really important to take a moment, step back, and make sure the history and the story and the memory are essentially attached to and preserved with the item. We do that, or we can help people do that through a variety of ways. One is our own technology platform. Simply snap a photo, add a few details, click save, you're done, privately share. You can also, if you're more old school, you want to do it with a pen and a piece of paper, go for it. If you're someone who loves Excel spreadsheets, we've had folks who over time have migrated to Artifacts, but they started with an Excel spreadsheet trying to figure out or document what some of those things are. Bill, you probably know this from being in the real estate business, right? But there is an article last year in LA Times that the average home in the US has over 300,000 items. And when you think about that, that's a lot. So that's where we get to the whole like preserve what matters. We're not saying preserve and document all 300,000 things, but pick the ones that really do matter to you or your family.
And if you said out of the 300,000, that number sounds about right. I mean, if you take each spoon, knife, fork,
Yeah.
they could be silver or they could be worthless.
Yep.
Um, and if you want to say maybe out of all that, maybe 1,000 are worth anything,
Yeah.
in terms of either emotionally or financially.
Yep.
To get through the 299,000 is the problem, right? It's not just if the 1,000 valuable things you wanted all popped up and said, "Here I am," and moved themselves in a box, it'd be easy. But that's not what happens, is it?
No, and we often joke that our items don't magically sort and, like jump into boxes. You
Right.
don't know what, and when someone, especially when someone passes, right? You don't know what do they want to sell or have the family sell? What do they want to be donated? What do they want to keep in the family? And then, especially, what do they want to bequeath? If they haven't made those details clear in their estate plan or other legal documents,
Mm.
oftentimes the family is left literally staring at 300,000 plus items, wondering what it is and what am I supposed to do with it? And that's where, again, like with how we've designed artifacts, we have a field called in the future. And you can note, you can drop down menu, pick, donate, sell, bequeath. It's all right there. And if you're doing it old school, if you're got that pen and piece of paper or that notebook or that Excel spreadsheet, please add a column. I beg you, add a column. What's next? What happens to this in the future? Let your family know. And when we're talking about letting families know, I think, Bill, a big part of it too is that people sometimes may do this work, but they forget to tell anyone where it is. And that can be a pitfall.
Well, what was so interesting was I think I mentioned I was on vacation and I got in the mail a package from my aunt and uncle in Philadelphia, and it has these amazing family photos that they've collected, and some of them just really interesting pictures of my mother and some of my mother's side of the family, and my grandfather, and he owned a store and some promotion material he had for that. And I called them up just now to thank them, and they said they're getting ready because they're getting older now. Now, most people don't do that. My experience is most people wait until they're no longer around and kind of leave that for kids or somebody else to deal with professionally. Yet it seems to me that what a nice activity to kind of clean out things and do it in a positive way. Meaning, here's what I guess my question is this: how do you encourage people to do this to clean out their apartment or house,
Yeah.
but not make it the first step in dying, because it doesn't have to be. They could live another 20, 30 years. I hope they do. I
Yeah.
hope this has everything to do with expediting it. The opposite. I think this would be a fun activity and a nice way to create some regeneration of connection with the family members who get the benefit from this material.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And it's a great question, especially I think if you have listeners out there who are wondering, like, how do I start? What do I do with those 300,000 items? I think part of it depends on what's going to motivate you, right? Like we all have different personal motivators. And for someone, maybe there's a listener out there wants to get organized. And for them, the motivation is to declutter, get organized, really enjoy the space they already have in their home.
Yeah.
If that's the case, you can give yourself really attainable, like mini or even micro goals. Pick, a room a month and dedicate 2 or 3 hours on a given day of the week. Sometimes people love doing it on Sundays. Football's on, you can have the game on and then go through some of your stuff. It's a great way to do it that way if you're goal oriented and your objective is really to downsize and declutter. If, however, you're looking at it more of you have these really sentimental items and you want to ensure that it stays in the family, right? And in your case, they're getting passed down to you, all those photos. But maybe there's, a child, grandchild, niece, nephew, you name it. If it's more of the sentimental and you're looking to have that connection, that's a different motivator. And in those cases, we typically recommend that families, maybe they use the holidays or different family gatherings. Maybe there's birthdays or graduations, but you use occasions where the family's going to be together and then essentially back it up a month, right? So a month before that occasion is going to happen, whatever it happens to be, start going through, pick a box, pick a bin, maybe even pick a room, but go through the items you want to go through. Decide who do you want to give each item to. And then when you have that family gathering, you've got these beautiful surprises for your loved ones and the stories to go with it too. Because that's the big piece of it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people, they hear the number 300,000 items, right? And they often think, well, no one's going to want my stuff. Right. And it's true. Not everyone's going to want every last spoon, every last dish or plate. But when you have, especially with sentimental items, when you have that story and that memory and you're sharing it in a very kind of loving way, that way that your uncle did with you, and it's part of that family history, that's when you get really excited about it. You're like, wow, I never knew this about my family. And now I'm the keeper of this. And it's pretty cool, actually. So again, I think to help you get started, identify what motivates you. Either you want to organize and declutter, or you want to have that intergenerational connection. You want to pass down stories and memories, and then approach it based on which track kind of you fit into best.
It's such a good point. I think everything always starts with motivation. I know for me, I've been trying to spend an hour a week on decluttering. And so I picked one room and we got through a couple of parts of it. And I'm not any real timetable to get it done, just as long as spend an hour on it a week. It's funny, you say I do it on Sunday with the football playing in the background. I really just can't sit and watch a football game anymore, but I can listen to it while I'm doing some work. Yeah. And I've made really good progress. I feel like it's made the rooms more available. We have our kids and grandkids come over, and there's more room, less stuff, more room to put things that we want to use. And so I think starting off with a motivation, in my case, decluttering, and also setting a realistic activity to do in a period of time has been really good for me. I mean, I got that from you the last time on the podcast, and I forgot it, but it was in subconscious or something. So that's great news. And I also think that's got to be part of your thought as the website, is that it's not that anybody's ever going to go to your website and say, I'm now super organized and I'm forevermore going to keep organized. It's got to be a process, I would think, and a constant activity, like a hobby that you're interested in and looking for. So talk a little bit about how do you position yourself as Artifacts, and that's Artifacts without the second A. I have it typed correctly this time on the website. How do you position yourself to be that resource that keeps people kind of in the thought mode on that on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bill. And you are spot on, right? It comes down to habits, right? That motivation, and then establishing a habit, and ideally getting some sort of reward, which again, depending which camp or which track you're in. Either the reward is a tidier, less cluttered home, or the reward is that intergenerational connection, that feeling of like, wow, my family gets me, or they now know part of my story. So for us, the way that we designed Artifacts was we wanted it to be really simple and easy to use. So it doesn't become a chore, right? We have the website, but we also have the app. And in the app, you can even talk to text. You don't have to type in the story at all. You can simply hit the microphone button in the app
Wow.
and off you go.
Wow.
So that's where the simple and easy part comes in. The next part is we wanted it to be fun. So it's not just, we've all, I think, experienced an inventory app before where you open up the app or you go to the website and you start it looks like an Excel spreadsheet. You just start typing in things. That's not really fun, is it? So for us, we wanted there to be, as you make the artifact, you get to combine photos, video, audio. Like you get to be the narrator of your own story. And then the way that we designed it is that we're using bright colors. We make things kind of happy, like they feel happy when you're on the site. We had one of our members once, wrote in saying like, I feel so happy whenever I'm artifacting, and it's the pops of color. It's the way that we write and describe things. It's not just building a site, we've built a community. I think that's a big part of it too. If you're someone who wants to know, like you're not going at this alone. You are not the only person trying to downsize right now in America, or
No.
you are not the only, like mom who's dealing with a ton of kid stuff from all those art classes over the years. Like we're in this together. So the way that we designed the site and really the platform is that there's tons of resources out there. So as you're getting into this and discovering like, wait a sec, I just inherited a china set from grandma. What am I supposed to do with this? There's an entire article. What do you do with old china? And we give our readers resources to help them walk through and figure out, do they keep key pieces and artifact those and repurpose them? Maybe a teacup becomes a really cute pencil holder or whatever it happens to be. We give them resources of where you can go and sell. We also, one of our, I think, newest and I'd almost say most fun features, I know I am loving it, is our what we call RT Assist. We now have an AI assistant, which you can activate. It's not always automatically running in the background, but if you have one of our unlimited accounts, you can activate RT Assist and it will pull up factual and historically relevant information about your artifact. And I will share, maybe Bill, you can relate, maybe not. It's a funny story. So my husband is a whiskey connoisseur. I know absolutely nothing about whiskeys. And I think I buy whiskeys as a gift for him based on what the label looks like. Kind of the same way I buy the occasional bottle of wine. Very much of, what's the label? I know nothing about the actual brand or anything about it. So the last one I bought for him for a professional accomplishment earlier this summer, I took a photo and I artifacted it. And I asked RT Assist. I turned it on and asked for more information. And I was absolutely astounded at not only the detail about how this particular bottle was made, the provenance, like everything I got from it. It also showed me other similar whiskeys he might enjoy, which for me was great because again, I usually am totally shopping blind.
Beautiful. Yeah. I'm big on that. Once you find what your spouse likes, just go back to the well. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not the smartest husband in the world, but that one I figured out early on. Good for you.
So we have a lot of those features that, again, we try to make it fun. We try to help you source new details or document preserve the ones that you know. And then we make it really easy to share. So if you think your grandkids are never going to listen to your stories, you can share the artifact and it's there for when they're ready to listen.
Ready when they're to.
Yes.
So there's the major, kind of when we do the whole house, and then there's kind of the minor, which is just a few pieces to get started. And in my mind, as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing, we started the conversation. I thought, well, I don't have any artifacts in my house. I'm more decluttering. But then I thought about, well, actually, there's this painting that my in-laws gave my wife and I, 30, 40 years ago that, was nice. And there's a couple yadros we have that I'm not partial to, but my daughter
Yeah.
might like. I'm thinking, I wonder what Artie would say about those, and
Yeah.
what, just here's a statue. Yeah, well, here's a statue, but here's the story behind it. It makes it a little more interesting, like you say, as far as engaging with the
Yeah.
family member and making it more of a connection.
Yeah. And the really fun thing about Artie Assist is you can ask it follow-on questions. Like, tell me like why I artifacted a vintage um, purse, because my daughter is always asking questions about it.
Mm,
And I didn't know the answer. So I asked Artie Assist, like, what is this color like called, and how did it come into this designer's like kind of his portfolio of work? And I got this phenomenal answer that,
mm,
again, like knowing that now, I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool. And of course, my daughter
mm.
is like, all right, that's awesome. I'm super duper cool. Like, now can I please have the handbag? So,
Wow. Anything gets your kid to respect you. I think that sounds like a great program. I
especially
think
a
I work.
teenage daughter, I'm just saying it's
Oh yeah, I might as well
not
older than that. They don't grow out of that. Let me just tell you, they don't grow out of that. A teenage thing. Mine's 29. She still can be sharp. She can be like sharp cheese at certain times.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. But I
so let's
think that
talk.
like one of your sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So just back to your earlier point about it doesn't have to be, you don't have to tackle every item in your home. You don't have to tackle every item in a room. Like the beauty of what we do when we say preserve what matters, again, going back to how we started this conversation, it's really what matters to you. But then also ask your family. You may ask your daughter, right? Be like, hey, like, dear daughter, if you had to pick 5 things from like our house, what would be those 5 things that matter most to you? And her
Mm,
answers may shock you. So I think that's
yeah.
part of it too, is have those conversations. It's a two-way street. When you're talking about estate planning and legacy, it's not just, you on an island. You've got others around you who can have inputs and ideas too.
So we talked a lot about artifacts as a consumer tool for people who are users to use, but
Mhm.
your business as well. And my interest is when people have homes full of stuff. I'm not an expert in that area at all, but I work with experts like you that are, and I can say, well, here's a couple things you might try. You might want to check out artifacts as a way to kind of get the ball rolling while you're doing estate planning. It seems to me like there's a great fit for you with estate planning
Mhm.
professionals or wealth management professionals that you're kind of dealing with people planning. So talk to me about the business. How do you position yourself as a resource to other professionals who might introduce artifacts to their clients?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. It's another great question. The short answer is we have an entire platform just dedicated to those professionals. So estate planners, insurance agents, realtors, move managers, professional organizers, professional photo managers. You can actually, on Artifacts, if you're a professional, you can have access to, it's called Artifacts for Professionals, or RD Pro. And you can drop down, choose Artifacts for Professionals, and get started that way. And we built that specifically because sometimes people really do they just want a friend to help them get started. Or in some cases, they've inherited what could be an entire estate and they don't know where to start, and they've got to bring in their professionals. So there's, again, depending on where you're starting from, which professional you bring in. But with Artifacts for Professionals, we've built it so that you can artifact with or on behalf of your client without ever sharing passwords, devices. You can assign, if you've got team members on your team, you can assign team members different clients. You can manage essentially all of the artifacting work from your side of the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've found and heard is that typically within the first paid billable hour, people have already recouped the cost of the professional's membership. So it's a really great way if you're a professional looking to grow and scale your business, being able to add on artifacting as a service, or even be able to advise people as they do it themselves. And part of the reason you had to build the consumer side first, like people had to have a place to land, right? If you're an estate planner saying, all right, we just went through your entire estate plan. Now over to you to do those tangible assets. I want you to go to Artifacts, and you got
Right.
there and you're kind of like, oh, this is kind of ugly and looks like a spreadsheet. Well, that's no fun. So we had to design a very, like, again, engaging, fun, very informative consumer facing platform, like side of the platform, before launching the professional side. But now we do have both consumer and professionals. And it's great to be able to go, if you're a professional, be able to help your clients achieve whatever that end result is, and having them then on their own pick up and continue. Because your earlier point, it's not just a one and done, right? Like, we're acquiring new stuff every single day. we're making new stuff, making new memories. So it can be a very powerful way for professionals to engage with clients. That also definitely helps with some really positive reviews and feedback too.
I think just for those watching, I'm interested in artifacts. It's not really my specialty. I know there are real estate agents and or attorneys who are very involved in this stuff, whether it be working with charities, working with cleanout companies, working with specific collectibles. Artifacts kind of fits into that genre of stuff. Uh, I'm more in the peripheral. I like to have the resource to pass out. And I think that one way or the other, either this is a tool you should have in your toolbox that you can offer to customers as they search for solutions, you can offer that as, a value add, or you could actually tear into it yourself as a professional and get into this space and add this as an attorney, certainly in estate planning, and even as a real estate agent, an area that you can add more value in. And I know agents who are also auctioneers, or also do
Yeah.
clean out companies, or also do estate sales. So this is kind of thing where it can fit in with your niche and find the place where it fits. But I think this product or service runs the spectrum from somebody maybe who just occasionally has people with stuff, hey, here's a solution, to those who make the stuff their primary business to get real estate or to get the legal work, and Artifacts can accommodate those. So look, Heather, I really appreciate you've been on before. I think I learn every time I talk to you about it a little bit more. I'm a little slow, so I need to have things repeated for me. I like to see the upgrades you guys have done on your website. For those who are interested, I think the best place to send people is just to go to the artifacts.com website. I think we have and again, there's no second A, so artifcts.com. Is that the best place to send people?
That's the best place, Bill. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. It's wonderful being on, and as always, a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise. Well, look, Heather Nicholson, professional in this field, really has some great stuff going on there. And again, whether this is something on your peripheral or something right up in the mainstream of your business, definitely worth checking out more detail. Heather, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Bill.
And for Rushy, this is Estate Planning Weekly. We get together every week and interview most often estate planning attorneys and legal professionals, but also the vendors who can help us be more successful, whether you're a real estate agent or an attorney. If you want to continue the conversation, our Facebook group is the Estate Planning Podcast. You can go there for referrals, questions, and such. If I can help in any way, I'm at Bill Gross Probate on social media. And as always, make today your best day ever. Thanks so much.